guys, this is Rabia and you are listening to the Brown Girl Rants. We have entered in 2024. This is our first episode for the 2024. How are we feeling? I am feeling nothing. I think I have delayed my 2024 till February और जनवरी तक मेरा 2023 ही चल रहा है और उसके बाद फरवरी से मैं 2024 स्टार्ट करूँगी because it's so cold and I cannot process anything. I cannot start with anything. It's just so cold. I'm just doing what had to be done. लेकिन उसके अलावा it's harsh. लेकिन I told you guys I don't know last podcast में कि I'm getting new furniture for my room. तो उसके लिए I have to go out and I went out maybe on Monday in days or it was so cold. Even though I was wearing 2 socks, I was wearing 3 bottom. I was layering 3 things for the bottom and 5 things for the top. But still I was so cold. जब मैं घर पहुंची हूँ I was frozen. तो इस वजह से it's just not working for me. Or also I'm just waiting for a day when the sun will come out. I haven't seen the sun since ages and I think the day sun comes out I'll be so happy. It would be a really happy day for us. Other than that, my throat is not very well or I realized this while जब मैं अभी start कर थी record करना कि the throat is not looks amazing. So let's just hope we don't fall sick because who wants to fall sick obviously. But other than that, you would know for the title obviously, but the Brown Girl Rant hit its first anniversary, which is so surreal. And when I told about that on the Instagram story, so everyone was like, time flies so fast because it was literally yesterday that you started the episode. For me as well, even though I did 50 episodes and I know I did those 50 episodes, lekin still I think time literally flies so fast. और उसके ऑन द टॉप ऑफ दैट मुझे लगता है कि जब से मैं ग्रेजुएट हुई हूँ तब से तो मुझे वैसे ही टाइम को कुछ अंदाज़ा नहीं होता कि कब क्या हो रहा है. एंड नाउ आई वाज थिंकिंग इट वुड लिटरली बी 4 years टू द पेंडेमिक. It literally seems like it was there a year ago or 2 years ago. So I don't know how the time is going by so fast. Lekin the important thing is that we are living the time we are in, or I am just so glad that I started this podcast. Or I remember कि when I was planning it or when I was मुझे तब लगता था कि पता नहीं कैसे होगा, start होगा कि नहीं होगा. it just felt so unreal कि I wasn't sure कि वो start or not. लेकिन बेसिकली ये हुआ कि मैंने ग्रेजुएटेड तो मुझे आई वांटेड टू डू पॉडकास्ट सिंस फॉर एवर. लेकिन एकदम से जब मैं ग्रेजुएट हुई हूँ तो मैंने कहा नहीं बस अब करना है. और फिर मुझे लगता है कि आई स्टार्टेड लिसनिंग टू पॉडकास्ट इन 2019. ओके और तब आई रियलाइज के देयर इज दिस थिंग कॉल्ड पॉडकास्ट. और तब आई यूज्ड टू हैव एन iOS राइट. तो उस पर मैं पॉडकास्ट सुनती थी क्योंकि मुझे लगता था कि पॉडकास्ट सिर्फ एप्पल पॉडकास्ट पे अवेलेबल है. उसके बाद आई रियलाइज कि नो देयर इज़ अ गूगल पॉडकास्ट टू और उस पर भी हर पॉडकास्ट अवेलेबल होती है. तो फिर व्हेन आई स्विच टू एंड्रॉइड तो आई स्टार्टेड डूइंग ऑन दैट. लेकिन बेसिकली आई जस्ट ऑलवेज वांटेड टू डू पॉडकास्ट से पहले व्हेन आई डिडंट नो पॉडकास्ट एग्जिस्टेड. पॉडकास्ट से पहले आई ऑलवेज वांटेड टू डू यूट्यूब. I was not that comfortable with YouTube क्योंकि even though I love watching YouTube and all that stuff, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि for me I cannot show that much, right? तो or I was always scared with what people will think or I don't want and I get creeped out कि जब कोई unknown इंसान जो है they either follow me or I see someone following my social media and I don't know them, a man, ठीक है, not woman. तो इस वजह से मुझे लगता है कि I had my reservations with YouTube, तो I couldn't do it and I hated that कि I couldn't do YouTube. उसके बाद when I discovered podcast, तो मुझे लगा कि this is something that I can really do and I would love doing that. It's very secure and it's good, or it is there to help people and to entertain them and it makes people someone more productive. For me, podcast really helped me, and I loved listening to podcasts. I remember कि पहले क्योंकि it was like a long route for my university आने चलते time, तो first I used to just listen to music, और फिर कुछ अर्से बाद I got bored of music because I was literally listening to the same songs again and again and again. और फिर I just wanted to do not consume music a lot, तो then I started to listen to podcast. तो जाते हुए जो है मैं थोड़ी स्पिरिचुअल या फिर इंफॉर्मेटिव पॉडकास्ट सुनती थी, और वापस आते हुए आई वुड लिसन टू द पॉडकास्ट वेयर जस्ट मतलब पर्सनल जर्नल या फिर वेयर यू जस्ट डिस्कसिंग रैंडम स्टफ और फनी पॉडकास्ट, ऐसे करके दैट आर लाइक टू जस्ट पीपल टॉकिंग टू ईच अदर, एंड आई लव्ड दैट सो मच. और मतलब I love just podcasts so much, and I would tell everyone it's so much better than listening to music because you just learn so much from a podcast and you just feel more productive. उसके बाद when I used to do house chores, तो भी I used to listen to podcast, and it would just make the chores much more exciting to do. और मेरा दिल भी नहीं चाहता था कि चोर ख़त्म हो क्योंकि मैं podcast सुनती हूँ. It was just like very nice and I enjoyed it so much, so I always knew कि I wanted to do it. लेकिन I couldn't do it that time, और उसके बाद मुझे बस समझ नहीं आती थी कि कैसे करना है, क्या करना है. When I graduated, जब यूनिवर्सिटी थी तो obviously I participated in a lot of hosting और वो सब कुछ, तो जो the quest I have to like speak or do that was being fulfilled there. उसके बाद जब यूनिवर्सिटी ख़त्म हुई और तो उसके बाद I realized कि maybe I'm just gonna like मैं अपना टैलेंट खो दूंगी, इवन दो इट्स नॉट ए टैलेंट, लेकिन आई जस्ट मतलब पीपल विल फॉरगेट इट, और I won't use it anymore and it would be sad, and matlab I just want to do something कि I could like do what I am good in and I can keep doing it. And now that I have a job and secure career, I can just do something without worrying about कि I want to make money out of it. क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि when you love something so much and money gets in the equation, so you are more desperate to earn money than to get recognition for your work. This is what I feel. And since I have a other profession और उसमें मतलब कि I'm working, तो इस वजह से I can just be here and do what I love without worrying कि I'm not earning anything out of it, right? तो फिर I started like looking up कि podcast कैसे करते हैं, edit कैसे करते हैं. I didn't knew anything. I was so confused. पाकिस्तान में इतने पॉडकास्टर्स हैं नहीं, और जो हैं उन्होंने इतनी इन्फॉर्मेशन डाली भी नहीं है कि how you can start it, how you can do it. With YouTube there is a lot of information क्योंकि obviously there are so many people from Pakistan doing it. Even मुझे लगता है कि आप अपने इर्द गिर्द देख लो, you will find someone who is doing YouTube or have some knowledge for YouTube and how it works. लेकिन with podcast it's so new and not a lot of people in Pakistan are doing it. The other thing that is happening here is that most of the people that are doing podcasts are already famous. उनकी already एक established audience है अपने YouTube से या अपने जो भी उनका career है उससे, और वो लोग ही उनको podcast पे सुन रहे हैं. Third thing is that जो पाकिस्तान में लोग podcast कर भी रहे हैं उनकी mostly podcast YouTube पे लग रही है, तो वो उनका वो मतलब कि पूरा स्टूडियो है, उनके पास कैमरा इक्विपमेंट है, उनके पास माइक्स है, उनके पास सब कुछ है, और उनकी वो पॉडकास्ट लग रही है, वो यूट्यूब पे लगा रहे हैं, वो दूसरे प्लेटफॉर्म से उस तरह नहीं है. आई स्पेसिफिकली वांटेड माई पॉडकास्ट टू बी ऑन पॉडकास्ट प्लेटफॉर्म्स क्योंकि फॉर मी द पर्पस ऑफ पॉडकास्ट kills when it is on YouTube and you have to watch it for an hour too. For me, podcast is something that you can listen to while doing something other things, matlab it's a thing that when you are doing something that maybe doesn't requires your mental strength that much, तो उस वो करते साथ साथ you can listen to podcast. It could be your work or maybe when you're traveling or things like that. Obviously when you're reading or doing or studying you can't really listen to a podcast क्योंकि that thing requires your mental like attentiveness too. लेकिन अगर आप बर्तन धो रहे हो या फिर you are arranging your wardrobe or if you're going for a walk, you can listen to podcast and it's just so good. So for me, I just did not, obviously I did not have the equipment and what it means to like start a podcast on YouTube, but at the same time, obviously I was a bit reserved with showing my face और वो सब कुछ on YouTube, और I was scared of creepy people क्योंकि YouTube की access हर किसी को है. पॉडकास्ट प्लेटफॉर्म की एक्सेस हर किसी को नहीं है. ऑब्वियसली कोई भी कर सकता है, लेकिन नो वन लाइक केयर्स अबाउट डाउनलोडिंग अ पॉडकास्ट प्लेटफॉर्म, podcast app and listening to our podcast for an hour just to creep the other person, right? Or if it's just my voice, it's not my face, right? तो इस वजह से it was just really difficult to search के how to upload it और क्या करना है और किस तरह करना है और to find a channel. और क्योंकि आप एक चैनल पे अपनी पॉडकास्ट ऑडियो सप्लाई करते हो और वो आगे लोगों को करते हैं, तो बहुत से जो थे वो पेड थे, लेकिन that time I didn't want to invest in anything, even now, not even now, कि I don't wanted to pay, लेकिन there were free platform as well, तो I started with that. जब मैंने उस पर कर दिया तो फिर शुरू में इतनी प्रॉब्लम थी, गूगल पॉडकास्ट पे नहीं आ रहा था, स्पॉटिफाई पे नहीं आ रहा था. फिर इट टुक मी अ वाइल टू रियलाइज कि स्पॉटिफाई पाकिस्तान में पॉडकास्ट है ही नहीं, और गूगल पॉडकास्ट टेक्स अ वीक टू अपलोड योर लाइक टू शो योर पॉडकास्ट चैनल. लेकिन एवरीथिंग रिजॉल्व एंड नाउ now I got asked how you started and how you did it, so I help people well क्योंकि there was no one to help me, so I want to help some people. मुझे लगता है a lot of people when I started it had this like impression कि maybe I'm earning out of it. No, I am not earning shit out of it. Even now as well, I am not earning anything out of it. That's sad. लेकिन the good news is that के YouTube Music started and YouTube Music has a podcast option. तो आज की ये podcast, I hope you're listening to it on YouTube Music, but if you are not, so go and listen to it on YouTube Music and subscribe to the channel so I can get like monetization out of it. Like I would love. So I don't earn anything. Lekin at the same time, as I said, since I am doing it purely for my passion towards what the thing I have, तो इस वजह से मुझे लगता है कि my reward is when people just come up to me and say कि oh I loved the episode so much, और मतलब उनका feedback अच्छा होता है. When I uploaded the podcast, तो उस वक्त I was not expecting कि कोई सुनेगा, क्योंकि मैंने सोचा कि कौन मुझे 1 घंटे के लिए सुनेगा, like that's not possible. लेकिन so many people tuned into my first episode. My first episode is the most listened episode अभी तक, और 1 साल हो गया, लेकिन still is the most listened episode. So a lot of people just went in for support and listen to the first episode or second episode, third episode. मैंने कहा पहली 3 episodes are the most listened, और a lot of people just went in and supported me, which was so amazing because I was not expecting. मैं कह रही मुझे था कि इवन अगर कोई मेरा बहुत अच्छा दोस्त भी है ना, आई वॉज नॉट एक्सपेक्टिंग कि दे विल जस्ट गो एंड लिसन टू मी, एंड इट वॉज नॉट लाइक कि आई वॉज ओके अबाउट इट. अभी भी मुझे कोई मिलता है ना और कहता है कि सॉरी वी हैवंट हर्ड योर पॉडकास्ट, मैं कहती हूँ इट्स फाइन इफ यू हैवंट, मतलब कि इट्स ओके इफ यू डोंट वांट टू लिसन टू इट, बिकॉज इट्स दैट मीन्स इट्स जस्ट नॉट फॉर यू, एंड दैट्स फाइन विद मी. आई डोंट एक्सपेक्ट अ फ्रेंड ऑफ माइन कि वो मेरी तभी क्लोज फ्रेंड होगी जब उसने मेरी सारी पॉडकास्ट एपिसोड सुनी होंगी, क्योंकि यू ऑलरेडी आर विद मी एंड यू नो मी, तो मे बी यू आर नॉट गेटिंग एनी थिंग आउट ऑफ दिस पॉडकास्ट. तो मुझे लगता है कि दिस पॉडकास्ट इज़ एक्चुअली फॉर द पीपल हु आर मतलब फॉर द पीपल हु जस्ट नो मी ऑनलाइन और हु जस्ट डोंट नो मी पर्सनली. क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि मतलब माई सिस्टर लिसन to my podcast and she said कि it just feels like she's listening to Rabia. तो मुझे लगता है कि for someone who knows me, this podcast might not be that much interesting because you already know me. तो इस वजह से I never mind. I never asked anyone to like follow my page or give me a shout out. I never like in a year asked anyone for that, or I love that क्योंकि I know कि whoever is putting a story for me genuinely is putting a story for me because they want me to have the audience, or they genuinely want to give me a shout out. They are not doing it because I asked them to do it, or is वजह से I love that. Or anyways, when I posted कि hey I upload the podcast, everyone's reaction was so good. My Twitter में मुझे इतने notifications आए, everyone was listening to it. My whole मतलब कि for the next month my Twitter was filled with every day someone just tagging me and telling me कि oh we listened to your podcast, it was so good. और फिर a lot of people like Instagram पे किया मेरे, a lot of friends of mine supported me so much. They posted a story, even my family members, which जब मुझे मतलब कि when my family members या फिर my relatives started following me, I was a little scared क्योंकि obviously you get a little scared obviously कि पता नहीं कोई क्या सोच रहा होगा, they might be laughing on me and not मतलब कि it's मतलब कि obviously it happens with my friends university के they always knew how I am and I have done stuff like that in front of him, so with them I did not care at all. लेकिन when my like cousins or मतलब वैसे ही relatives started following me, I freaked out a little bit and I like told my mom कि I don't want that. Lekin my brother was sitting over there and he said ke if you started it and you really want to do it then it doesn't matter, तुमने लगाई है तो लोग सुनेंगे ही ना, तुम पागल हो. तो मैंने कहा हाँ यार श्योर. तो इस वजह से लेकिन मतलब कि they were so good. I still remember my cousin sent me a recording and said कि oh my god I am so happy for you and I want to do मतलब कि this just motivates me because I always wanted to be a writer. So this just motivates me कि I should follow my dream. So when I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy for you. So everyone had a really good reaction or I was just freaking out. But like it made me so happy because I was not expecting it at all. और first ही week में मतलब मेरी first ही episode जो है it was like in the top podcast list of Pakistan on Apple Podcast, which मतलब someone sent, तब मेरे पास iOS नहीं था, someone sent me a screenshot of it and I literally like freaked out. और it was मेरी ना उस time Emma Chamberlain podcast बहुत मेरी favorite होती थी उस time, अब नहीं. तो ना उसके मतलब कि it was trending with it, उससे एक नंबर पीछे या आगे. और मतलब कि for me that was like oh my god, the podcast I listen to I'm trending with that in the top shows. उसके बाद फिर after a while क्योंकि people kept listening to it, it went मतलब it peaked more and then it was with the Shavir Jafri podcast, which I think Shavir Jafri podcast is the most listened podcast of Pakistan. तो मैंने कहा oh my god again. तो फिर मतलब it was so surreal. उसके बाद after a month I got this DM from this person, or they were like they were in the statistic team of Apple Podcast and they told me कि my podcast is number 1 for percentage in Pakistan और इंडिया में इतने नंबर पे है, यूके पे इतने नंबर पे है और मतलब कि और भी 4-5 कंट्रीज से जिन पे जो है वो पॉडकास्ट ट्रेंड कर रही थी. That was so amazing. उसके बाद I kept doing it. When I started the podcast, so there was a lot of people advised me कि रबिया be consistent and I was like okay be consistent. उसके बाद मैंने I tried to not skip a single week of podcast और I kept doing it. हमेशा कोई ना कोई टॉपिक आ जाता था. I think I was really like मतलब I love the topic I did and I just really look back to all the 49 episodes I did and I think the topic of each one of them is really 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 good. तो उसके बाद फिर मैंने जो पहली 3 episodes की हैं ना उनके बारे में I didn't put that much thought in and I just did what I said क्योंकि primarily the episode is the podcast is the Brown Girl Rants, so I just thought कि I'll just like rant or I just went. लेकिन जब मैंने जो तीसरी episode की है ना that was the most loved episode in that time और उसमें I'm advising something. और उसके बाद I did an episode on productivity and self-confidence and people loved it so much. Though I realized कि maybe that's what I am good in. और since मुझे लगता है कि अब now I don't regret कि oh I wish I could have started this earlier when I was 18, 19 or 20 because तब मेरे पास इतना experience नहीं था, अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी का इतना experience नहीं था, लोगों का इतना experience नहीं था. So then I experimented a little bit with everything. I talked about brands and marketing. I talked about a lot of things, but then I realized that the podcast that people love a lot is where I'm talking about self-help, how you can be better at this, how can you be better at that. Sometimes it's like a physical thing, but most of the time it's the thing inside you, your inner emotions. Yeah, मतलब कि how just you can work on yourself. It's about self-grooming and how you can मतलब कि do this in the. तो मुझे I realized कि this is my speciality and this is what I should work in. तो I started working in on that. और मेरी जो भी एपिसोड मुझे लगता है कि मेरी 10th एपिसोड थी फ्रेंडशिप वाली कि हाउ टू नॉट फील फोमो एंड हाउ टू मतलब कि फ्रेंडशिप्स वगैरह की, वो जब मैंने पॉडकास्ट सुनी ना, तो वो दैट वाज द फर्स्ट टाइम व्हेन आई लिसन टू माई ऑन पॉडकास्ट एंड आई सेड कि ओ आई नेल्ड इट, आई लव्ड व्हाट आई सेड. और अब मैं वो पॉडकास्ट सुनूं तो मुझे लगता है कि आई हैव इम्प्रूव्ड सो मच ओवर टाइम, कि अब जब मैं वो पॉडकास्ट सुनती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है कि आई एम बेटर नाउ. लेकिन उस वक्त जब मैंने वो सुनी थी, मुझे आई थॉट कि आई नेल्ड इट एंड एवरीवन एल्स लव्ड इट सो मच एंड आई कंटिन्यू डूइंग podcast on topics like that. मुझे लगता है वक्त के साथ साथ obviously there would be new things coming in life and मुझे लगता है कि there's just so much I can talk about throughout my life. तो मुझे नहीं लगता कि I would ever run out of podcasts idea, क्योंकि the genre I am doing is so wide and things will keep happening, so I'll keep talking about it. Thankfully पॉडकास्ट से पहले आई हैड अ ट्विटर अकाउंट फॉर मैनी ईयर्स, और उससे आई जस्ट हैड सो मैनी फ्रेंड्स फ्रॉम ट्विटर, सो मैनी ऑनलाइन फ्रेंड्स हु वर फ्रॉम इंडिया, हु वर इनसाइड पाकिस्तान, और पाकिस्तानी फ्रेंड्स दैट वर नॉट लिविंग इन पाकिस्तान बट लिविंग in any other part of the world. So I just had so many friends, or when I released the podcast, so they were the ones who like really listened to it and stayed, matlab ke kept listening to it. They gave me a lot of feedback, lekin after a while I realized ki maybe they are the only people, or I am not gaining like more listeners. तो फिर मुझे after like 2-3 months I started getting this messages कि hey, we discovered you from Apple Podcast, we saw your podcast, listen to it, love it, now we are coming to your Instagram page to follow you. For me that was an achievement कि someone is discovering me from the podcast app and coming to Instagram for me. मुझे लगता है कि I have developed a nice audience on Instagram as well, और people are interested to see the stories. और मुझे लगता है कि for me it doesn't matter कि मुझे 1,00,000 लोग follow कर रहे हैं या फिर less than 1,000 या फिर कितने लोग कर रहे हैं. The thing that really matters to me is कि the people who are seeing the stories are enjoying it, or with the podcast and Instagram as well. I think कि अगर मतलब कि there would be just minimum people, but all of them मतलब कि just really enjoy it, or for me that's all I need. मैं कभी कभी जब दूसरों के Instagram जिनके मतलब कि बहुत ज़्यादा followers हैं, उनके जब मैं comments देखती हूँ और मैं negativity देखती हूँ तो मैं बहुत डर जाती हूँ, और मुझे लगता है कि ऐसी फेम से बेहतर है कि आपकी बस थोड़ी सी ऑडियंस रहे जो आपको अप्रिशिएट करे. इस वजह से आई नेवर गेट लाइक टू मच इन दैट रेस और टू मच वरिड कि ओ मेरे इतने फॉलोअर्स नहीं बढ़ रहे, मेरे इतने ये नहीं है, मेरे इतने वो नहीं है, क्योंकि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे इफ़ just like 4 people are listening to me but all of them like are actually getting anything out of it and not just hating on me. तो इस वजह से मुझे लगता है कि आई एम जस्ट ग्लैड कि वॉट एवर ऑडियंस एंड हाउ मेनी पीपल आई जस्ट हैव, दे आर रियली लाइक जेन्युइन एंड दे डू एन्जॉय मी अ लॉट. खैर with podcast though I started being active on Instagram as well. Also when I got to know okay people are discovering my podcast from Apple Podcast as well, that made me so happy. तो I just kept going. मुझे लगता है कि मैंने पूरे साल में सिर्फ there would be 4 days जिन पे जो मैंने वेडनेसडे मिस किए हैं, स्किप किए हैं पॉडकास्ट के, और इट वुड ऑलवेज बी सो मच फन टू मी. और मतलब कि इट जस्ट मेड माई लाइफ प्रॉपर. खास अगर मेरी पॉडकास्ट ना होती तो आई वुडंट हैव बिन दैट प्रोडक्टिव. मुझे लगता है कि अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल टेल मी टू मेड आवर डे बेटर और इट कीप्स अस गोइंग, मेड अस एक्साइटेड टू डू थिंग्स. तो मैं कहती हूँ कि द पॉडकास्ट doesn't only helps you, it helps me as well. It also keeps me going, it also keeps me excited for things. Maybe I wouldn't have been that excited for fall, lekin jab I thought ke oh I'm going to do a podcast on it, or I'm going to talk about this and this, and then I'll matlab ke maybe post a reel, or maybe I'll show this on Instagram, I'll do this and this, so that makes me more excited for the season, to like spend it with you guys, to show you guys कि oh I'm doing this, I'm making this now, I'm baking this now. तो इस वजह से I always enjoy the process more when I know कि I'll show it to you guys and you guys will enjoy it. So for me it makes me really productive as well. There is response, मतलब कि I love, मुझे लगता है कि yes, I did podcast and I was consistent with it, and I truly enjoy it. I love talking, and it always is a very like a fulfilling experience for me after recording every single episode. लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि your feedback keeps me going. It makes me want to do better. It makes me want to do like go harder. मुझे याद है जब मेरी birthday थी, तो my birthday was in June, and I got so many birthday wishes from you guys, and all of you guys were like, you're like our elder sister, and I loved that so much. फिर a lot of people say कि मुझे लगता है कि this was something कि I never expected from anyone to tell me, and when they do, I always just like मतलब कि it's so surreal for me कि when people tell me कि you're an inspiration for me, and I don't think I have done anything to be an inspiration, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि just मतलब कि even the positivity and the excitement for little things or the positive force could be a source of inspiration for someone. So when someone tells me कि you're an inspiration for me, मुझे realize होता है कि how special it is. मुझे realize होता है कि मतलब कि that's such a huge thing, और मुझे वो बहुत rewarding लगता है, और मुझे नहीं लगता कि कोई भी जो है वो monetary amount इतनी उस तरह rewarding हो सकती है to hear someone saying कि you are an inspiration to me, or listening to is like I am listening to my elder sister, or you help so much to me. I think I just love it so much, and I was not expecting to get this much मतलब के appreciation from this podcast. लेकिन it just means everything to me, और मुझे लगता है कि the people around me don't understand. Or it was the most rewarding thing for doing this podcast is the feedback I get from people, or it's just good for all of the brown girls to get strength from this podcast. Kyunki, as I mentioned in my second episode, I was not really that happy about my skin tone. I was really insecure about it, and now gaining confidence in it and giving confidence to other brown girls about so many things is just the best thing ever. Or I don't even care if this podcast मतलब के gets more listeners, or it gets more popular, or I get if I don't get a whole podcast studio room or something like that. I'm just happy with the audience I have, and I hope I reach out to more people who need help, or they could like get something out of it. I just want to spread positivity, and I just want to spread good stuff, and I think if I have anything good to say, so I want it to reach to people so that it could make someone's day better. I want people to get confidence. I want people to believe in that their self. Or just with me in school, I just had no one to look up to who would tell me कि Rabia, you are special, and you I just felt so ordinary in school, and I just felt कि I'm capable of nothing, I'm good for nothing, and I'll do nothing in life. So उस वक्त obviously I did not have access to a lot of people, or also there was nothing I could look up to. So मुझे लगता है कि if someone is going through the same thing, I just want to be that for that person. So just giving them a lot of positivity, and how just you can be better every single day, and how you are important, and how you can feel special and important in all of this. So I just plan continuing that. So I posted this story कि it's 1 year anniversary and all of that, or if you want to say something, so please say it. I would love to include that in the podcast. And I got this DM which I didn't read that time क्योंकि मैंने कहा I'll read it like live for the first time on the podcast, because I knew it's a very heartfelt, lovely DM. So I'm gonna read it right now. Firstly, I shared on my story कि I'm going to be talking about my most listened and least listened episodes. So if you have any favorite, to let me know, because I wanted to see the stats. Okay, if your favorite matches with the stats. So Param messaged me. Param, I love you so much. She messaged me that I have related the most to the one how to overcome your inferiority complex wala. That's my favorite podcast as well. So she said कि and plus I haven't had इतना ज़्यादा related इतना ज़्यादा with anyone here on social media, their thoughts, their point of view, जितना I have related with you, and plus I feel जो भी you say and you think और वो और think वो सब मेरे साथ भी हो चुका है, and I have the same thoughts कभी ना कभी किसी time पे, या खुद या खुद वो ऑटोमेटिकली हो जाता है मेरे साथ भी. आई लव दैट, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे वी आर लाइक द सेम ब्राउन गर्ल्स. और मुझे लगता है कि द पीपल दैट लिसन टू मी, द मतलब जितने भी लोग मुझे सुनते हैं, I am like one of you guys. I have either like we are either going through the same thing, or maybe I have gone through it and I'm talking about it and you are going through right now. Like either we are age fellows, either I'm older than you. तो इस वजह से मुझे लगता है कि that makes it more like a good listening experience to know कि the person I'm listening to goes through the same thing. So you can relate to it. And at the same time मुझे लगता है कि we can like literally be friends or like you can just DM me and we'll have a talk and we'll just be friends and we can like share our experience on DM as well. और इस वजह से मुझे लगता है कि it just makes it a better experience for me as a podcaster. I love मतलब कि to be that close with my listeners, and for listeners they know कि I'm just a DM away, so they can just DM me. So at the end she said कि तो I can say basically मैं बहुत बुरा मतलब I'm reading it so bad, sorry. तो I can say basically कि मैं अपनी पूरी ज़िंदगी में इतना कभी किसी से relate नहीं किया. That means a lot for me. It's like an honor for me. Thank you so much, Param. Or I hope that you keep relating to me. Next DM is I got from Mariam. And she said, first of all, she congratulated me on completing 1 year of the Brown Girl Rants. And she put like pretty emojis after that. I'm so happy right now because last year I discovered you and you really inspire me and you made me realize so much about life. You're literally the best podcaster. Because of you I started listening to podcasts. I love you. I love you too. And I love hearing this when someone says ke we started listening to podcasts because of you. मुझे लगता है कि so many friends of mine who already knew me before the podcast, them telling me कि oh we started listening to podcasts because of you, and so amazing. A friend of mine, really friend, I love listening to podcasts as well, and I think getting to hear I started listening to podcasts because of you, it's such like an honor to me, because thank you so much. Or the part where you said I made you realize so much about life. Again, मुझे लगता है कि I'm just so glad, but I would say the same thing for you guys, because every time I do something, I'm just so excited to share it with you guys. और कभी-कभी मुझे लगता है कि I would not have been excited for life that much if it wasn't like, oh my god, I'm going to talk it on podcast. मतलब कि it just makes me so excited to just live life and to tell people कि oh I did this, and you can find happiness in that as well. लेकिन I love you so much, Mariam. Then मुझे लगता है कि actually I'm on laptop और उस पर ना ज़्यादा आ नहीं रहा कि जो उस पर responses थे मेरी story पे के question में. लेकिन a lot of people recommended a lot of topics कि यही करना, वो I'll मतलब कि talk about in any other podcast. Also I'm running out of time. Okay, now we are ending this podcast. I'm really late. I have so much to do, and it's been 1.5 hours since I started recording. Anyways, we are doing our award show for this podcast. Or I need drum roll, please. Should we reveal the least one pehle ya highest one pehle? And I'm including the top 10 and the least 10. तो मुझे नहीं पता. Should I मतलब मुझे लगता है कि I should do the least one पहले, ताकि excitement rate top वाले की. एक मिनट, let me just go through the bottom. Okay, we have our list here. Okay. Okay, on number 1 we have happiness and grief. This was like the third last episode I posted this year, so it makes sense why it's on the bottom, क्योंकि it's a recent upload or not a lot of people have listened to it yet. Like, and at the same time this was a episode that I haven't like prepared for anything, और इसमें मैंने कोई इतनी like वो वाली important बात नहीं की. I'm just sharing my personal stuff, so it's okay for it to not get that much listeners because it was really a filler episode. Next, on the second last is the episode I uploaded last Wednesday, or the fact that it's higher than the episode I uploaded last week. इसका मतलब ये है कि people just do not like filler. लेकिन it's the episode how to set goal for 24. It's pretty good. The fact कि it's on second last because I uploaded it last, तो मतलब कि it was liked a little bit more. On third last, we have Brown Girl Winter. और उसमें I'm talking about winter. और this episode was posted, I think, in November or December. In November का मेरे ख्याल से mid. Wait, let me see the date. I don't have the date. Maybe एक minute. Oh my god, I'm wasting your guys' time. I'm so sorry. No, I posted this on 22 November, or unfortunately, people did not love me talking about winter, or they just don't. Or maybe the topic was, the title was off. I don't know, care. People did not enjoy it as much. That's okay. The fourth last is Guide to Turning 18. Okay, it's fine. I am not 18 anymore, so maybe the people who listen to me are not 18. They are, but anyways, this is it was not really listened. On fifth last, we have Slowing Down in Life, and I posted this in December. The Guide to Turning 18, I posted this on November. So yeah. Anyways, Slowing Down in Life was posted on December ka 1st. So these all of these episodes are from last 2 months, but that makes sense because these are the recent uploads, so obviously they didn't got that much listeners. Again, with A Guide to 18, it's in November, and a lot of November uploads are higher than that, so this was not that much loved. Slowing Down in Life, okay, not that much love. Now, this is the episode which is on 1 2 3 4 5 6 last the episode hai. This was uploaded in July. Or the episode those who came after that are much higher. So this is a serious thing that didn't do well, and that is Feeling Blue, or in bracket Brown Girl Crisis. और मुझे लगता है कि this was not the most positive episode ever, तो इस वजह से people didn't like it. People like me talking about positivity. Okay, उससे ऊपर on 7th last, it is about Palestine that I made. I think I wish people would have listened to it, लेकिन I'm just thankful to the people who listened to it. मुझे लगता है कि obviously people have much more quicker access and much more experienced information from other people. Lekin a lot of my listeners wanted me to do this podcast, and I wanted to do it as well. तो मुझे लगता है कि all the people who listen to it, I love that. Or since I do not talk about history and I am not well informed in that, so I understand the people who did not listen to it. I hope that you are listening to someone else. ठीक है? उससे ऊपर 7th last, I think it's 7th last. I have to count every time because there is no numbering. 1 minute. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. 8th last is How I See Marriage and Relationships. Now this I think was the third last episode of 2023. So for it to be up there is nice because it did better than the other December uploads. Then on the top of that, this is 9th last. It is How to Get into Fall Vibes. Okay, I am always so excited to do the season episode, to talk about season, and I thought that people enjoy it too, because Instagram pe people love so much, like on charts it's not doing that well, that won't stop me for doing it because I love talking about season. उससे ऊपर मेरे ख्याल से the 10th last, 1 minute, I have to count it again. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, the 10th last listened episode is 10th least listened episode of the Brown Girl Rants is What Does It Means to Be a Girl's Girl. This is actually a good podcast. I uploaded it recently. It's a recent upload, November upload. So this maybe it didn't do better. The 2 episodes that are that didn't do better and are from November se pehle is the fall episode that I did on October, and the Feeling Blue episode that I did on when did I do that? That I did on like July, April. So anyways, these were the last 10 episodes. I hope you if any of this topic seems like interesting to you, to go listen to it. I honestly wish कि मैं सारी episode से go through कर सकूं, लेकिन तो फिर फायदा क्या होगा? These we are talking about the top 10 and the least 10. Okay, let's talk about the most listened episode. Okay, and I'm gonna start. No, I'm not gonna start from bottom. I'm gonna start from top. क्योंकि पहली 3 episode I told you guys the most popular one. So on number 1 we have our first episode, introduction, why our New Year resolution don't work. It is the most listened. It almost have double the listeners of the second best episode. So anyways, it makes sense. I don't really count it क्योंकि it's like the first episode, so maybe we are not counting it, और फिर उसके बाद we like count the 11th episode as the best. अब second पे is my third episode actually, fangirling, stand culture और वो सब कुछ. तो मुझे लगता है कि the second episode is embracing our brown skin tone. Now मुझे लगता है कि people started being wise with what they listen and what they want to listen. और तब मुझे लगता है कि जब when I posted this episode, so I was still on Stan Twitter. Now I'm completely out of Stan Twitter. So a lot of people tuned in. They enjoyed it so much. It's the second most listened episode. अगर मेरी first introduction जो है वो वाली episode जो है वो ना होती ना, तो इसको उसके views मिलने थे क्योंकि everyone enjoyed it so much. On second, I have embracing our brown skin tone. अब मुझे लगता है this is the second episode. इस वजह से it have this much listeners. It's in the top 3. Else it would not happen. Now on fourth, this is when I think it makes sense. It is fair and it's not just there because it's an early upload. On fourth, and I considered this the top listened episode क्योंकि पहले 3 are like the first 3 episodes. अच्छा. So this episode is friendship, my personal experience with friendship. This was like my 12th upload. I think I uploaded it on April. So this is the top, it's in the top 4, which is very nice. उसके बाद next one is जो कि मैंने इसके फौरन बाद upload की थी, how to make your day productive. This is also most listened, और इससे मुझे इन दोनों podcast से realize हुआ था कि what my genre is and what type of podcast people actually want from me. और उससे बिल्कुल नीचे is how to develop self-confidence. तो 3 of these podcasts, 3 of the 3 trio is like about self-help. और जब they started getting listeners, तो I realized कि people like that. तो yeah, तो this is like the पहले 4th number पे है friendship, 5th पे day, how to make your day productive, and 6th पे how to develop self-confidence. On 7th we have the story where I'm telling कि I met Atif Aslam, or I think it's a clickbait. Obviously I talked मतलब कि मैंने Atif Aslam title में लिखा हुआ है, तो a lot of people would be interested to talk about it. उसके साथ मैंने उसमें जो है ना वो outfit review किया हुआ है और that was so dumb. I would never do that again. तो yeah, मुझे लगता है कि people saw Atif Aslam and they clicked on it. But anyways, this is on 7. On 8th number, we have the being underachiever in school. और उसमें I'm telling about my story कि how I was an underachiever. उसके बाद how I selected my degree and selected the job और वो सब कुछ है. उसके बाद on 8th number we have, on 9th number we have when and when not to apologize. This episode I think I uploaded in September, or this is up there. So I love that क्योंकि people loved it and I loved that for you, so I love that. उसके नीचे is our favorite episode, how to overcome inferiority complex. Now how to मतलब कि ये episode भी मुझे लगता है कि I uploaded in September, I think. Wait, let me see. Okay, I can't see it क्योंकि light चली गई है और अब वो date आ नहीं रही, लेकिन I'm sure I uploaded this on, it was published in July. Okay, this was published in July and it's in like the top, like, what, did I do it in July? I think I did it in September. Anyways, this was published in July and it's in the top 10, which makes sense obviously. When and when not to apologize was in like June. Okay, Anyways, that's the top 10. और उसके बाद 11th पे, क्योंकि we are not considering the first one, तो 11th पे is dealing with low times, which is मतलब अब देखो the feeling blue one, मतलब feeling blue is also I am telling कि I feel low. वो people didn't liked it that much or they didn't listen to it. Like क्योंकि उसमें I'm just telling कि oh I'm sad and I'm low. लेकिन the episode in which I'm talking about कि how you can deal with it, वो people are more interested to listen. इस वजह से मैंने जब भी कोई इमोशन की बात करनी होती है ना, मेरा कभी कभी आई एम जस्ट वेरी हाई ऑन दिस इमोशन एंड आई वॉन्ट टू मेक अ पॉडकास्ट ऑन इट एज सून एज पॉसिबल. लेकिन मैं तब भी यही करती हूँ कि फर्स्ट आई प्रोसेस थ्रू इट, कि मुझे पहले पता लगे इस चीज़ का क्या सोल्यूशन है और फिर मैं उस चीज़ के बारे में बात कर सकूँ. तो ब्राउन गर्ल रैंट्स में सिर्फ मैं बेसिकली रैंट नहीं करती, उसमें सोल्यूशन भी. और मुझे लगता है कि पीपल आर मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन इट टू. या मतलब कि वी वेंट थ्रू इट, लेकिन हाउ वी कैन ओवरकम बाय इट. इस वजह से इवन द podcast where I talked about death, I wanted, मतलब obviously it's a very heavy topic, लेकिन मुझे था कि जब मैं podcast end करूँ तो it could leave positivity in someone's heart, and I think it did. तो इस वजह से मैं जो भी episode निकालती हूँ, मेरा दिल होता है कि, और मेरी कोशिश यही होती है कि सब जो है वो to learn anything out of it, and when they end the podcast they just have this newfound positivity in them, and that they don't get scared and all. और yeah, that's it I think for the podcast. मैंने बहुत बात कर ली और बहुत टाइम वेस्ट कर लिया है. आज से फायर की सेल है और it's gonna start in an hour and I'm very excited for it. Everyone please pray कि मुझे कोट मिल जाए. I'll update you guys on Instagram. लेकिन yeah, that is happening. I am very stoked and very excited for it. Bye, have fun. I'll see you guys in the next episode, जिसमें एक normal topic होगा and it would just not be me talking about myself. लेकिन also I think कि मतलब I just feel कि मतलब I think कि मैंने जितनी भी अपनी चीज़ें की हैं अपनी ज़िंदगी में, this podcast is something I'm most proud of, क्योंकि this is something that is helping other people. It's not just giving me any benefit, I'm also like helping a lot of people. तो मुझे लगता है कि this is something that I'm gonna go with. और when I'll be old, this is something I'll be telling to my grandchildren, क्योंकि अपने लिए तो हर कोई कुछ ना कुछ करता है और मुझे नहीं लगता कि वो कोई अचीवमेंट है. मुझे लगता है कि जो आप दूसरों के लिए करते हो और दूसरों के लिए बेहतर करते हो, जब दूसरे आपको कहें कि यू हेल्प भी, मुझे लगता है कि वो ज़्यादा अच्छी अचीवमेंट है. और इसी पॉजिटिविटी के साथ हम ये पॉडकास्ट एंड करते हैं. टेक केयर ऑफ योर सेल्फ. फॉलो मी ऑन इंस्टाग्राम इफ़ यू नीड more positivity, and follow me on Twitter if you want more positivity. I'll see you guys next week, or I'm so excited for spring, or yeah, bye.